Renee with Joy for the Journey, and today I want to talk to you about how I started a homeschool group and how you could start one too or find one in your local area. So it all started about, 2021, summer of 2021. I had just had my third child. In fact, we were in the hospital. She had RSV, and it was really heartbreaking. It was the first time I ever had my infant go into the hospital, and your hormones are already crazy and you're already very sensitive, and you find out, oh my gosh, they want to it was crazy. For RSV, they thought that they had to do all these extra things, like possibly, put a needle in her spine to make sure it wasn't meningitis and all these other things. They're trying to stir up crazy fear. Thankfully, I had had the Lord and some good people to give me some advice. Didn't do that, and it definitely was just RSV. And we stayed in the hospital a few days, myself included, in a little, fold down couch they provided, It was just an interesting time, but within a day or two, she was doing so much better. And I remember I'm just holding her in my arms, and she's doing fine. And I was able to, for the first time, revisit this desire I had to start a homeschool group, because what I wanted and envisioned, I could not find in my area. I really wanted a close-knit group with kids my son's age, who was going into kindergarten, who would be able to meet at parks once a week and just have some casual good time together. Maybe we read a book and do some activities, maybe some nature, foresty school type stuff. And then that's it, and it didn't have to be expensive or anything like that. And that was my vision. So, I just began right there while she's sleeping on my chest, holding her, to build a Facebook group page. So that is step one. First, have a vision, but then go ahead and start a Facebook group page. Don't invite anybody to it yet. Get your description going in your vision of what you want your group to be. And you might not give all the information of when you're meeting on that page, but you can let them know this is a grow group. We are looking to meet once a week in the, whatever area you're meeting in. It's for ages this to this. And so that's my advice. Second piece of advice for you is decide what ages. So if you have a lot of kids, it might be a little harder, but for me, I had, all my kids kindergarten and under. So I was really looking for a very narrow age group, really just trying to find kids right around my son's age, 1 year less, 1 year more, or right at his age. And then the group obviously would naturally grow as siblings come in, and as my son grows older and the gap between him and his sisters begin to present more as they came school age. But for that time, that's what I really wanted, to keep it small, because if you're trying to find friends for your kids and you're inviting everybody, in elementary school, the ones who are coming that are too old are going to feel like they don't have a friend, and the ones that are too young. So you really got to narrow it down. You'll also build better relationships with the moms that way, because you just naturally have more in common with moms who have kids around your kids' ages, because you're doing life together and you're in the relative same season. So that's so important. And then after you get your page looking the way you want it, you select a little picture that you want to be the visual, it'll give you a spot in the top. And so I selected an adorable picture off Google, screenshotted it, and uploaded it from my photos in my phone of a cute little baby fawn, and it was that simple. And later on, I actually edited the photo and put Psalm 42:1, which if they look it up, they would know that's the verse. As the deer pants for the water brooks, so my soul longs for you, O God. And then I also put in this corner Deer Brook. And so just fancying it up and making it, my own. And I've adjusted the description. And every time I adjusted it, I didn't want it to keep notifying the page, so that when people did finally join the page and see all these edits, so I would delete the oldest, notifications and put on my page of every time I updated the group. And another thing you don't put in your description is right up front, be up front. You need to think about this. This is the next piece of advice. You need to decide what it's going to cost you. Are you going to be doing crafts each week? At first it might be hard to estimate, but for me, this past year, we did $60 per family for the whole year. Right now with inflation even, I think that's going to cover it. And if not, you can up it next year. But my goal wasn't to make a bunch of extra money. And of course, if you need to, parents might, as you get to know each other, especially can you bring in this or that? But you want to take as much of that onto yourself if you're starting a group, and make it easy for people to just show up. So you want to have that fee. So for me, whether they had 1 kid or 3, everybody, they signed a form at the first day of registration, I have a sheet with, their name, their kids' names and ages and birth dates, and their email. I didn't ask, and their phone number. I didn't ask for addresses, though you could. So I made a little form. They filled it out, and then they would put the fee or the materials or supply fee, registration fee, whatever you want to call it, into the envelope with their name on it, and into like a little pretty gift bag. And I would have like a little Dollar Tree picture frame where I typed up the directions. And then, at the bottom of the form, they would check the box. Yes, I submitted my thing. And it's really easy. It wasn't on people's case. That's where it's like a self-service registration table. I don't have to be like having this awkward encounter with people. They just do that. And if they didn't pay the first week, it's not a big deal. Eventually if people, most of these moms are coming, they don't mind, putting a few dollars forward each year to have a great group with their kids. And it's just been super amazing. Can't wait to tell you just how awesome and appreciative these moms are and how close we've become. And, definitely not cliquish. Like, we are always welcoming new people. The kids get along great. We cover each other's weaknesses. We understand when we're having difficulties with life and our kids, and we are able to be like, yeah, I've been there. And we're able to also share our faith with each other and encourage each other. It's been so amazing, giving each other ideas and just having a good time. Like, we start at like 10:30 in the morning and we're there till like 1 or sometimes 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I always post every Friday. I make a post. This is the next piece of advice. On your Facebook group page, be consistent. Pick a day that you're always going to meet and pick a time you're always going to meet. Doesn't mean you can't ever adjust it, but try to stick with the same day, the same time, and try to post around the same time each week of what's coming the week ahead. So you're going to start off letting them know this week on September, blah, 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 we will meet at 10:30 with our packed lunches as usual. And then you describe what you're doing. And then I go and get some screenshots off of Pinterest of the activity or anything else. And I upload those for my photos. My screenshots, show up in your photos on your phone. And I when I'm making the post, I, add the pictures and I kind of crop them so you can't see, all the battery, thing on my phone or whatever. You don't have to do that. And then they can see what they're doing, what's to be expected, what to bring. And then they, and you can put, please let us know if you're coming in the comments, like, hey, we'll see you there. Or, after a while, I might not even say that because the same people tend to come every so often, or for a while I might say, and new friends are welcome to join, and just kind of give that shout out to welcome others. And so that's pretty much it. And the other thing I do at registration is that I give them the whole year in advance. Now, you don't have to do this, but honestly, it makes the year go so much easier. If over the summer, I have a little template, and I literally have all the dates that we're going to meet every single Friday for the entire year from August to May. So we kind of follow the public school schedule in our area. We always meet the Friday after school starts for the public school, and then we always meet right up until the last week of school. It's for the public school, and it's so nice because we get the parks to ourselves all year. And sometimes we'll have a few random homeschoolers who happen to be there and who will join on, or some fun preschoolers. And so now they have the schedule for the whole year. Now they know at the top it says tentative, so of course I can change the parks. At the top of each month box, it'll say the park, and it'll have the dates and what we're doing. And if I have to move it around, that is totally fine. But it helps me the most because now all I have to do when I'm about to make the post of what we're doing next week and I'm getting ready to get materials together is look at my schedule and go, oh yeah, that's what we were doing. And if I need to adjust it, I go, I actually need to change that. Then I do, and nobody minds. It's totally fine, but it helps everybody. So that's huge. Be prepared for the year ahead. Over the summer, plan ahead for the year. It could take a few hours, but then you're done. And so now it's just a matter of, okay, I gotta get these materials added to your Walmart grocery order if you need some supplies, and then get it together. Sometimes I've totally done it the night before and finished up the morning of. Not that I'm recommending that, but because the base plan is done, I can be a little more last minute. I have to be, and I'm a mom of 3, so it definitely happens. So those are the main things, have a vision. What do you want? Is it a park group with a reading and an activity? When are you going to meet? Every week, once a week, I would say. At what time? And what do you want to charge? I would make it simple. Like I said, I'd do $60 for the whole school year for a family, and you could charge more or less depending on your area and what you think, what kinds of activities you're doing. If you think they're going to cost more or less, and then you adjust the next year if you need to. And then you just really need to, again, plan ahead for that year, and every week make that weekly post letting them know at least 5 to 7 days ahead. So when I get home on Fridays, I usually go ahead that evening or whenever I can as a mom of 3, and I go ahead and get that post done. And that way, sometime between that post and, as we get closer to the actual meeting, I'm beginning to prepare and get my things together for that week. And I try to keep it simple, but at the same time engaging, exciting, especially too, I know that my son's in the group, and how would my son enjoy this activity or not? I'm trying to make it something engaging for all the kids. And then another piece of advice is really just being aware of the moms. Remember that mom said, hey, I went on I'm going on vacation this weekend. So the next weekend, ask them, how was your vacation? Always try to get to talk to each mom, not just because that's the right thing to do, because you want to enjoy those moms and get to know them. These are your friends. And so every week I try to make a point to talk to everyone, which can be tricky because we're all chasing our toddlers, holding one on our hip while trying to help this one with the craft. It's a little messy, but we're all in it together, and it's beautiful. And so try to connect with the moms, and then noticing the kids, how they're interacting, and having that chance to really disciple and foster your own child, but also be aware if you notice there's one kid in the group who maybe there isn't another child their age, or another, they're a girl and there's not really another girl they're connecting with, and start praying, Lord, I just pray you provide a little extra friend for that kid. And just being mindful of that, and encouraging that growth between the kids and the moms. So yeah, and once you get on a rhythm with that, it's not too complicated, and just being simple, a peacemaker type of personality, being not afraid. That's a big thing. I noticed for some moms, they really don't like to talk in front of other moms. So for me, that wasn't so much an issue having to teach in the public schools. I was used to having to read in front of a large group of kids and sometimes adults and doing different things. So that's where, that can be the tricky part. Now you could just have a park group where you're not necessarily doing a read aloud, if that's the part, or maybe, you're okay with the craft, but you're either whether you're doing a craft and or story, there's gotta be some willingness to speak up and to give directions and have some sense of organization. And that can be the part that will really hold moms back from having a homeschool group. So, if you have a friend that you're close with and she's really strong at something, this is also a chance to build them up. So I'm always looking, if I see moms are content and they're not really wanting to participate, that's fine with me. But if I see a gifting in a mom, I'm like, hey, would you like to do our Dr. Seuss week and plan that? Or, hey, would you, like if we're doing a science experiment, I'll break it up into small groups. Like, okay, Mrs. Amanda's going to take this group, and Mrs. So-and-so is going to take that group. And I break them into little groups. And so not just giving the moms a chance to do that, not only because we want to lift others up and give them a chance to use their giftings, and also because it's good for kids to hear other people besides me speaking up and leading, but also because it'll help you, it'll help me, right? If I'm not trying to do everything on my own while taking care of my own kids. So that's important too, is utilizing your resources, delegating, not in a way that puts pressure on them, but in a way that just lifts them up. And if they can't do it, it's fine. And being willing to know you are there to serve. So if you feel like you have to do everything, then that's something we need to check our attitudes, because we're the ones who set it out. We decided to do this, so we need to go in it ready to just serve, ready to just take it on. And if we're not prepared to do that, then it might not be the right time for it. Or to keep it simpler, just like, hey, it's just a part group where we meet up. But I don't know how that would go over. I've never done that. I think there are groups that might just meet to play, but it definitely builds dynamic and builds attendance when we have something also that's engaging and fun and a little educational. Even though most of the time, I didn't add this, we are playing on that playground. We try to keep the activities short and sweet, and then we have lunch, and then the rest of the time it's play. So we start with play. This is our format. They get there around 10:30. Sometimes we're moms, so 10:30 really means 10:45 or 11 sometimes. But by 11, they've had that time to play. We try to start that activity somewhere around 11. And then, we are finished up by or before lunch, and we're eating by or before 12 that lunch as a group. If we can, and everybody's on the same page, I'll say a prayer. And then, hopefully we finished up the reading activity. If not, we finish it up right after lunch. But otherwise, after lunch, like 12:15, 12:30, let me just play. So it's a lot of play before and after that activity. And so it's awesome. I just absolutely love it. And I'm going to share with you some of the highlights of our year with a picture slideshow.